Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. Welcome to our OTEA online sharing event. This is a monthly event. Every month, we invite an engineer all around the globe to share their career, to share their life, to share their working experience. So today, we are very honored to have Eric here. He has a very unique career path. He's currently working in Denmark, in Europe. He's a first speaker from Denmark, so I'm very much looking forward to see what he's going to share today. So he graduated from a civil engineer, with a civil engineer degree.
Electrical engineer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that electrical engineer?
Yeah.
Okay. I should read your profile better. So he's an electrical engineer. Because most of our organization are civil engineers, so I got mixed. So that's what makes his experience pretty unique to our to our events. So he's involved in a wind farm offshore substation project. So the wind farm offshore substation is a very popular thing in the energy world, and with these sectors. The big stakeholders are mostly in Europe, like Denmark, like Netherlands. So it's different, very different from US, because US is currently where the energy is mostly generated from nuclear. So today we'll have a pretty interesting topic, and also Eric, because he's working in Europe right now, he has a chance to work with many team members from different countries. So he told me at one time working with 15 people, all from different cultural background and different countries. And he's also gonna share his life in Denmark. So Eric, I will hand the microphone to you. So very much looking forward to your sharing.
Okay, I will share my screen first. Can you see my slide?
He's running.
Can you see my slide on the screen
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Okay,
Now, thank you.
So thank you, Base. So today I'm going to share a little bit about my work and life experience in Denmark. At the beginning, I would love to share more about how we execute and the project, but due to company business restriction, I cannot talk too much about the project execution part. So today I will basically focus on work and my life experience in Denmark, and share a reason why I'm in Denmark. And it's I would say it's a really unpredictable story, because I didn't expect that I will work in Europe when I first graduated in Taiwan. So this is my background. I was originally graduated from National Slovenia University, Zhongshan Daxue. I majored in electrical engineer and majored in power system. I was graduated on 2019, and I was also graduated from electrical engineer Yuanzi University, and I also did my exchange student in Hong Kong Polytech University and Chongqing University. And about my experience, I was originally worked for TPC, Taiwan Power Company. So when I was studying my master degree, most of our classmates in the laboratory, because we were majoring in power system, so a lot of our classmates they got hired by TPC after they graduate, and also some of them go to become a facility engineer in some of the semiconductor factory like TSMC or UNC, something like that. But I only stay in TPC for couples of months. Then I don't really like the culture there, so I get another job for Mosla Petrochemical Corporation as operation and maintenance engineer for almost 1.5 years. Then it was really unpredictable that I joined this Denmark energy company, because they start to build offshore wind farm in Taiwan. So I got a chance to be hired in this program called ELS program. So ELS means electrical system design. So they train young engineers like me in the program, and it's a 3 years program, rotate in 4 different departments. So I was originally work on site as an installation and commission engineer in Zhanghua for my first rotation, first nine months. After that, I relocate from Taiwan to Copenhagen, doing the design discipline. So basically, I was originally work on site and then become a design engineer in a headquarters in Copenhagen. So I became a HV components and protection engineer. And some of my certification, I have passed NCEES PE exam, but my sector is probably different from most of you guys, because I knew most of you guys are structural or civil engineers. So I passed the power sector, and I also recommend people who is working, who is in Taiwan now, can try to pass this exam, because as you know, I think this certification, it's more recognizable compared to our PE in Taiwan. So basically, you can take all of the PE exam, which already transferred to a CVT format in Taipei now. So I recommend people who have just graduated from college or your master degree take this exam if you want to work abroad or study abroad. Yeah, I also got some scholarship, as you can see here. So where's Denmark? Denmark, it's one of the Nordic country, one of the 5 Nordic country, and it's a small country with 5 million population, and it's a really rich country with GDP per capita around 65,000 US dollars, and it's very easy. One of the best thing, you see the location in Denmark. It's very easy to travel around Europe if you live in Denmark, because you can fly to London, Berlin, Paris, or most of the European Union country within 3 hours flight, and you don't need a visa. So I would say it's really good to travel around if you are working in Europe. And the flight ticket, they are all very cheap. I would say cheaper than high-speed rail in Taiwan. That's location and a little bit about Denmark. So about Denmark, the population is around 6 million, and as I mentioned previously, GDP per capita, it's 66,000 US dollars, and Gini index is very low. I mean, in Denmark, you don't earn, I mean, the range of the salary you earn, it's quite flat compared to the capitalism country. I call capitalism country like US. I mean, in US, you probably can earn a lot of money as a good career, but you earn very less money if your career it's like a worker or a technician, like blue tie worker. But in Denmark, sometimes there are not many big differences if you work as a different career, I would say. So everyone is average rich in Denmark, because you earn more and you pay more tax. So sometimes they don't really have the competitive attitude, or how do you say that? So that's competitive compared to American. It's quite different style. And the currency is Danish krone. Danish krone is always relative to euro. So these two different type of currency, it's always relative to each other. The exchange rate between euro and Danish krone, it's always the same. And electricity, it's follow up with the European standard. So living cost in Denmark is quite high compared to Taipei city. Like if you want to rent apartment in Denmark, it probably costs around 40,000. Like a 3-room, 1 living room, 1 kitchen apartment in Denmark, it probably costs you 35,000 or 40,000 new Taiwan dollar. So everything and it's out rest in Copenhagen, it's way more expensive compared to Taiwan. Okay, so you can see my I did some research previously. So the restaurant price in Copenhagen are almost 180% higher than Taipei. But groceries price in Copenhagen, it's a little bit lower than Taipei. So what I experienced this situation is that how I experienced that the workers or the waiters, waitress, they got really high pay compared to Taiwan. But I mean the food ingredients are not so very high. So you have to cook yourself, then you can save more money. So why I'm in Denmark? That's a really interesting story. I was originally working for a local company for most of petrochemical, and one time I was trying to call my subcontractor to fix something for me, because I was an operation and maintenance engineer, and our substation there was something broken at that time, and I was trying to arrange a time with them and ask them to help me to fix something, but it takes so long time, because in the previous I probably can call these guys to fix something for me on site in 2-3 days, but that time they told me that they are doing some project in Zhanghua, and it takes me a month to call them to fix something for me on site, and I was just wondering how it takes so long for these guys to come to our substation. And then I asked them, and they told me that they are doing an onshore substation in Zhanghua for my current company. And I started to do some research, and they have an open position for this program. So I got hired by this EOS program, Electrical System Design. So it's a 3 years rotation in different departments and different country. And also so this EOS program set up, it's you do 2 rotations in Denmark headquarters, and also another 2 rotations in APAC region. So at the beginning, I should be in Denmark back to September 2021, which means it's my first rotation. But due to the COVID restriction and some COVID policy, so I was not able to start my career, start my program in Denmark. So I start my first project in Taiwan on the onshore substation. And after that, I relocate from Taiwan, Zhanghua to Copenhagen to do my second and third rotation in our headquarters in Copenhagen. And then I will move back to APAC region, and my plan is I will move back to Singapore next year. So I will do my first rotation in also APAC region. And I think the benefits for this kind of program, and also I think this kind of program is quite common in European or US. Like a lot of companies, they have this graduate program, so we do different rotations in different departments for young graduate engineers. So in this program, you can find out your own interest and gaining international experience through the 3 years program, and also you build the networking internal and also external, the whole organization, or let's say a whole industry, because you will have a lot of different stakeholders have to work with. Like in my project now, we have 15 different nationalities in this project, so you get a lot of experience how we work with people from different cultures, and I think that's quite important if you want to pursue the international career. And I think I'm lucky because I also always want to study abroad, but I don't have a chance when I was a student. I see this experience as study abroad, so I get not only experience but also international networking, because I knew a lot of people from different countries after joining this company. So talk about the benefits of living and working in Denmark. 35 days annual leave and 37.5 working hours per week. I think this is quite attractive to a lot of people, even though people from the US, you don't get so many annual leaves, right? And living in Denmark, it's very easy to travel abroad. You can just take a train for a half hour, then you go to Sweden, a city called Malmö. It only takes you 30 minutes. So it's very easy to travel to different countries within the European Union. And health insurance cover everything except dentist. So I think maybe you will think we also have national health insurance in Taiwan, but actually national health insurance in Taiwan don't cover all of the most advanced material. I have a friend, he got some problem with his eyes, and he did a surgery 2 or 3 months ago, and this type of material, if you want to implement it in Taiwan, you have to pay by yourself, because national health insurance don't cover everything. And working culture in Denmark is one of my favorite. They show the respect to employers. Like, I feel like in Denmark, if you are a people leader, then it's a really tough job, because everyone has so many different opinions. Like one time we had a meeting to discuss, do we have any difficulties, or do you have any problem with your working hours, or do you feel too tired, something like that? And one time, very funny, very interesting thing is that I remember a Danish guy complained to my manager that his chair in the office, it's very difficult to sit. That our manager replaced a new one for him. So working culture in Denmark, the manager show respect to his employer. So I think it's a really difficult job to become a people leader in Denmark, because everyone always have a different opinion. And another one is that very easy to get to learn different culture all around the world in this industry, especially like for our substation, we manufacture most of our HV equipment and also components in Europe, and then ship it to Singapore fabrication yard, combine everything together. So I would say you will have to work with people from different time zone and different background, different culture. Everyone have a different mindset. So it's also very good to learn different culture in Denmark. And one thing that's best in Denmark is that you don't really need to speak a local language, because most of the Danish people, they speak really good English. And of course, you have pros, then you have cons in Denmark. So the challenge of living in Denmark, you cannot expect the food is as good as when you are in Taiwan. Of course, I would say after you start to work abroad, you will feel like the food from your hometown is still the best. So this is one thing you have to get used to, or you have to start to learn how to cook yourself. Copenhagen rains and snows a lot in the wintertime. It's one thing I don't really like. The weather in Denmark is too cold for me. And another one is, I feel it's a little bit difficult to make friends outside of the company at the beginning. You have to be open-minded. I mean, I think it's not only in Denmark, but also in all of the foreign country, but it's just different level, right? If you want to go to, if you go to another new country, then people in the local, they already have their friends from when they were a child, but if you are a foreigner, then you have to be open-minded and make friends with other people. And one critical thing is that the income tax in Denmark is extremely high. It's around 38% to 55%. It depends on your income, but I feel like most of people pay around 45 to 50% of the income tax in Denmark. But compensation and also social benefits are one of the best in the world. So you cannot complain about income tax if you want to get this kind of social security or social benefits. And public transportation outside of Copenhagen is not as convenient as Taiwan. It's also one of the challenges. So if you don't have a car, then outside of Copenhagen, commute, it will be a little bit difficult for you. But for me, it's not a problem because I live in Copenhagen most of the time. So advice for a student or a new graduate, I think you have to think about your intention for going abroad to work, like before you really go abroad. Like if you want, what do you really want to gain through this international experience? Are you working abroad for money, for experience, or for other thing? You have to think very clearly before you go abroad, and will prepare your English ability all the time. Like you got an interview or you got an opportunity from a foreign company, then at this you need to prepare. You need to be able to talk with other people or your supervisor or manager in English, right? So that's the most basic one. I think most of the Taiwanese students lack of. And another one is try to internship abroad. I think internship is the lowest cost way to start to find your passion or interest. Like if you have a chance, then you do an internship abroad, then you will find out if you really want to work abroad or study abroad or not. Always well prepared in your CV and cover letter. You don't know when will your opportunity come across, because I have really some experience about this, because some of the hunter, they will just come across you and ask you for your CV or cover letter in a very short period of time, and you should be always well prepared this part. Then you have something to forward to the people who want to hire you. And attending more sharing presentation and networking with people already in the industry, like OTEA. I feel I really like this organization. You see a lot of talented people and also very senior guys in this organization. You can ask for their opinion, and they always give you really good feedback. And number 6, I think it's also very important, is that you can pursue international engineering license like PE, PNG, or PMP. I'm not saying the Taiwanese PE license is not good, but it's just not solid recognizable across the board. I think PE and PNG, they are still 2 of the majority international license in this industry. I mean, construction or infrastructure, right? And PMP, it's also very popular. Once you get some project management experience, then you can go for PMP. I think it's also really nice for this license. And share a little bit about my one of my favorite trip in Denmark, in Norway. So I went to see the Aurora light in a small town called Tromsø in Norway. I think it's one of the best road trip in my life, because I see the Aurora. And yeah, really recommend people, if you're working in Europe, then you need a trip to go for Aurora at least once before you leave. And also my life in Copenhagen, I made some good friends, and summertime in Copenhagen is the best, I would say. But wintertime is not so that good. So this is a festival that all of the people will just sitting around this harbor and have a beer and see people seeing dramas, and yeah, it's a lot of fun in the summertime in Copenhagen. But I don't recommend you come to Copenhagen in the winter times, because it's really tough, and the darkness will kill you. So that's a little bit about my presentation and also my life in Denmark. I will stop sharing my screen and see if you have any question.
Okay, Eric, thanks very much for this presentation. I do learn a lot from you, and I also think you are very lucky to see Aurora, because I'm based in US, and we can go to Alaska, near the North Pole, to see Aurora, but almost everyone told me it takes a little bit luck, because sometimes you go in Aurora season, but maybe you won't see it. Just, yeah, you need a little bit luck to see it. So I consider you very lucky, and must be a wonderful trip for you. And so we have one question in the chat box right now. One of our audience asked, is a PE license or professional engineer license, or like a fundamental engineering license, useful in your job, whether in European Union or in Taiwan? What's your opinion? I know you pass those tests, and how do you think they are in terms of implementing in your work? Is that useful to get?
I think it doesn't really direct can be used in my daily work, because at the end this PE license is still can only be used in States. But if you have this on your resume, then I think it's really a spot for people to see you have this qualification and certified to do engineering job. Why I say this? Because before joining this company, I think I also got hunted by several hunters, and I also did some interview, and some people, some of the manager, they are really interested in I got this passed this license exam, and they see you as qualified, even though you cannot directly use this license in your daily job, but it's still a highlight or spot on your resume. So I also encourage people to pursue this license.
Thank you, Eric. Actually, I can add on a little bit, since I'm US based, and I would say these PE license and FE license, you pass the test, but doesn't mean you can do business using your license in US. There's a process you have to follow to get the real license, and you can actually stamp a drawing to do design in US. So getting past the test means you're halfway there in US only. But just like Eric mentioned, being studying in Taiwan, you graduate from university, but you get this license. It approves two things to your future employer. One thing is you are capable of like basic engineering knowledge, and the second one is your language, like language skills or ability. Because these two licenses are English-based tests, and they are professional tests. So if you got these, pass this test and put on your resume, it will definitely catch your future employer's eyes. They know with some trainings and some people endorsement for you, you can be a valuable asset to the company, because you will be able to do like a professional engineering task, maybe in US. I would say it's a widely recognized license. Yeah, like Eric mentioned, like more widely acknowledged than Taiwan's professional engineer license. I hope I answered this question. We both answered. And okay, here's another question from G. Lillian. She said, "Dear Eric, thank you for your sharing. I have a question. As a civil engineer, what are the possible career paths to enter the wind turbine industry? Would it be through structural design or on-site construction engineering?"
I think I can answer this question. We have a really big demand for structural design for our foundation on the offshore substation. And also we need the structure design engineer for our wind turbine jacket. So you need the foundation, then there's a turbine. And also the foundation for the offshore substation platform is very important, because there are only, it's not like the onshore, because there aren't any weight limitation and also dimension limitation on the onshore substation, but for the offshore substation, weight and also the dimension is really important. So like for me, even though I'm an electrical engineer, I have to consider about the space dimension and run dimension on the onshore offshore substation, which I don't have to consider on the onshore part. So I would say there are still a really big demand for structural design engineering in the whole industry, especially for wind turbine. You need a jacket, and offshore substation you need the foundation, and also the export cable. You also need structural engineering to investigate on your export cable on the sea. So I see structural civil engineer. It's also really have a huge demand in our industry.
So Eric, would you encourage like maybe a structural engineer or interested in the structural design, like apply your company, because you said the demand is there, or after this project?
I will recommend people, of course, apply for our company, but there are still some limitations, because in Taiwan we probably don't have the oil and gas industry or offshore engineering industry in the past. So it's a whole new, let's say, whole new industry. But think about, on the other hand, you don't have so many competitors so far. So if you enter in this industry as early as you can, then once you get like one project or two projects experience, then you become very valuable on the market, especially in the whole APAC region. Nobody have experience building offshore substation so far. Of course, European, they got a lot of experience, but in America or in the whole APAC region, it's a brand new industry, I would say. So come into this industry as early as you can, then there are still no so much competitors so far. So I would recommend people, if you want to do big infrastructure, then you can join our industry, of course.
Well, Eric, I think that's a really good point, because I think even like 4 or 5 years ago, I just started to hear like these offshore substation, like a wind turbine will generate different way of generating power. Yeah. So and I think Taiwan, we're an island, but these energy or business related to the coastline is not as well developed as the European country you mentioned, or the APAC country you mentioned. So there's definitely a business opportunity there. So everyone, to our audience, if you are interested, keep that in mind. It's another choice to join the infrastructure project, different than roadway, different than dam. So it's more business ideas for you. Okay, we have a new question. Lin Tingli asks, is your program only focused on electric, or is it still opening? Is it still opening every year? I think, Eric, this is a question I want to ask too. The ELS program you mentioned, is it only focused on electrical, or is that still opening? How can we apply for the young engineers, new graduate? How can you find this resource?
I think my program was closed now, so the 3 years program was closed now. But as I know, there are still many developers in Taiwan. They are hiring engineering graduate, like other developer like RWE or CIP. You can do research yourself. But as I know, a lot of developers, they still have an open position for engineering graduate in Taiwan. So They probably will not send you overseas for such a long time, 2 years, like me, but at least they will, most of the program, they will send you overseas at least 8 and 9 months, one rotation. There are still some engineering graduate open position in Taiwan, I believe, for this offshore developer. Because the whole APAC region, Taiwan is the biggest market.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. And okay, I have a question from your answer in previous. You just mentioned in the APAC region, Taiwan has the biggest market. For why do you say that? I'm curious.
You see all of the market in the whole APAC region. Taiwan is on the leading position, I would say, because like in Japan or in South Korea, they don't really. They are still behind us, I would say. You see the big market every year. Our government just announced that from 2025 to 2035, every year you got 1.5 gigawatt. I have no idea. I have no idea if you have this concept. 1.5 gigawatt. It's a lot. I mean, it probably means 2-3 big offshore wind farm project every year. So you just give you a calculate. That means in the future 10 years, there will be around 20 to 30 offshore wind farm be under constructed in Taiwan. And think about it. The other countries in the APAC region, like Japan or South Korea, or another country our company is invested in. First one, it's the geography. Taiwan Strait, we got the best position for offshore wind farm. And another one is that the other countries in the APAC region, their government are not so that open for foreign developer to come into their market. So we are, like our company, we are a little bit struggling in South Korea and Japanese market, because they would prefer to give this opportunity to their own developer in Japan, South Korea, and also they have heavy industry fundamental. But in Taiwan, we need foreign developer from European countries to help us, or let's say to teach us how to do this heavy industry offshore. Yeah.
So from a business perspective or technical perspective, well, Taiwan has a very good chance to get the biggest piece of pie in the future.
Yes, that's definitely true. Yeah, of course, like in Australia, we also start to prepare, like, I think they also announced some of the offshore project, and our foreign developer can bid this project. But the only offshore wind farm under operation and under construction, like the very big scale, almost 1 gigawatt, it's in Taiwan. So most of the big project in this industry in APAC region, they are all located in Taiwan. And yeah, you can see a lot of European investment in this time. And I believe in the next 10 years or 15 years, it will still be a good opportunity or good industry in Taiwan.
Well, thank you, Eric, for the very detailed answer. Yeah, this is all very new to me. And I have a question for you. So since you are working in Denmark and you also mentioned it's very easy to travel around the European Union country. So I want to ask, for example, with your experience now in Denmark for several years, is that easy for you in the future if you want to find other jobs in maybe Netherlands or in other European Union country? Would that be easier?
I would say it's yes, definitely yes. like if you got 2-3 years working experience in Denmark, then I would say it's not difficult to get another job in another European Union country. But for me, I think I got more opportunity in APAC region, so I still want to go back because. And also, you know, the income tax, right? Like almost 50% of the income tax, half of your income, give to the government. So after tax, I would say, after tax, you don't really earn as much as you probably earn quite similar compared to what you earn in Taiwan after tax. And also the living cost in Europe is very high. But I think Europe, I think. Like in Denmark, it's a really good country for the family, for people who have a family, because you got free education and you got free health insurance and you got 35 days annual leave. So, but if your purpose is earn a lot of money, then obviously Europe is not perfect for you.
I see. Well, that's a very interesting point. So to summarize your answer is like if you want to save a lot of money and like earning big dollars, well, working in Denmark may not be the best choice. But if you want like a work and life balance, if you want to build your network, like in like professionally, especially professionally, right? Because you can work in other European Union country easily. And yeah, in these intangible value, not money, not monetary value. Well, maybe stay in Denmark is a good idea. And since you said you mentioned already, you pay very high tax, even if you have a working visa, right?
Yes, yes.
Wow. Okay. So, but what kind of social benefit do you get? do you have a family so they can use those?
No, that's the reason. You know, I pay so much tax for Danish people to go to college and and for their kids to get free education. So if I got family, then I will probably prefer to stay in Denmark. But in this point so far, I think I pay too much tax, and so it's also one of the reasons I want to probably move back to the APAC region.
I see. Well,
but it really depends what you want, what kind of lifestyle you want to pursue, right? So it depends.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Eric, one reason I invite you to this online sharing is you have a very unique path. I mean, you mentioned in your previous slide, you don't have study overseas experience, and you start working in Taiwan and transition into a different country and start working there and build your experience. It's very, very different. And different from most of our speakers, we got a foreign degree first and entering the job market after we graduate from Australia or from US or from UK. Yeah, so do you think you have any tips for like young Taiwanese engineers who may not be able to pursue the foreign degree right away, but still want to go working overseas through the companies? Do you have any tips, like which focus on any industry or which network we should build more? Do you have any tips or thoughts?
I think well prepared your English ability, like at least you need to interview with your supervisor or manager in English, right? And also, I think offshore industry is also one of the most easy industry in Taiwan to have connection with people from other parts from abroad in this point, because you see maybe other industry like construction or office building, stuff like that. You don't really have the opportunity to have a connection with people abroad, because they are so mature and it's considered kind of like a local thing. But doing an offshore project in Taiwan, in this point, you will have a lot of chance to meet people especially from Europe, because all of the expertise, they are from Europe. So I think you choose the right industry, and you well prepared your language ability, and also always prepare your resume and also cover letter. Then when the opportunity come across you, you got a chance.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, because you mentioned a very good point, which is which industry you're stepping in. You definitely want to go in some like a untraveled path, or not so much explored path. Okay, we have I think it's Min Hong raised his hand. Min Hong, you have any question for Eric?
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Thanks, Beth. I just wondering, because the wind power industry, it's all similar for to build a turbine in different places. I mean, it's like some engineering part we need some local knowledge. Do you know what I mean? Because in different areas, like the geotechnical condition or some environmental condition could be different, but to this the wind power station building, is that all similar standard all over the world?
I think I have no idea about a civil or structural point of view, I would say, but for the from an electrical point of view, we all followed a standard called IEC standard. It's a standard followed by European and most of the Asian countries. But in US, they have another standard called IEEE standard. So that's another different standard. But IEC standard, it's worldwide. So when you build an offshore wind farm outside of US, because US they have their own standard. Outside of US, we all follow a standard called IEC standard. I believe you got something similar for structural or civil engineering. It's also challenge for this European developer to build offshore wind farm in Taiwan, because the weather condition and also the liquid and also the strait condition is very different from North Sea. Offshore wind farm was originally from North Sea, so they cannot just copy paste their knowledge from Europe to Taiwan, because we got typhoon, we got earthquake. These are the foreign developer they have to consider about. But from an electrical point of view, most of the stuff, everything is just the same, or at least very similar. I believe they are more different in the structure and the civil point of view.
Yes, I think so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eric. If we don't have any more questions, I think we can jump into the Chinese session. So in the Chinese session, you feel free to ask Eric questions in Chinese. That is okay. So, okay, let me do a little bit advertisement. So usually our online sharing happens on every third Sunday in every month, but this month is a little bit unique. We adjust the time to fit Eric's schedule. So next month in April, we will be back to the third weekend of the month. So please check our Facebook page. And if you haven't joined as an official OTEA member, please join. We have a lot of more networking opportunities and a bunch of good resources for you if you're interested in working overseas. Okay, thank you, Eric. So Min Hong, I think we can stop recording and switch to a Chinese session.